never know as a person how you're going to react in a situation like that, and that includes people who are the crew, and it's possible that it was just one or two members of the crew kind of holding it together, trying to fight back against the 140 people trying to get there to save their lives. And
I can't imagine what it's like if you're piloting the plane also.
That's why you close the door.
But if you're dealing with this whole situation with fire and communicating with the tower and everything where you're going, and at the same time suddenly a huge amount of weight has suddenly just shifted to the front of the plane.
Yeah.
And you've got to take care of that. I mean, that's going to
really screw things
up.
As well.
Absolutely is.
I mean, there's a lot of things that could have been done. Maybe perhaps if the passengers just stayed put, perhaps if the crew had put their masks on, and
but this
they might have been overcome by smoke.
Again, this is that whole
but we don't know.
We just I want to point out this is total conjecture. We don't know if they did or did not don their masks, whether the passengers did or did not stay in their seats. These are things we just don't know.
No.
See, this is the upside to air disasters too, is that we always learn something from them. I mean, air travel now is so much more safer, and the reason is because we spend a ton of money and
figuring
time
out what went wrong.
And,
well, I guess that one went down. Let's build another.
I know. Now it's like,
God, we don't do it that way.
Same with the Titanic, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into theories because there are a huge number of theories on this one.
Yeah.
Some very far-fetched and some obscenely logical. And we're going to start...
Obscenely logical.
Actually, I've only seen one that's really totally logical. But...
I've seen two, but that's me. Yeah. So let's start with the one of the far out ones, because I always like to start with some of the far out ones.
I like this one.
Yeah, I like this guy's webpage.
Yeah. All right, so the first theory is that the plane was sabotaged. We are going to start by talking about a guy named David Mechanic, and he spells that with a K. The mechanic is...
Is it actually pronounced mechanic as opposed to mechanic or something like that?
I'm going to say he's a mechanic.
Let's call it mechanic then.
I like it mechanic.
Let's call him the mechanic.
The mechanic, by his own description, was a weapons engineer, and he said he worked for the South African government in the late 80s, and according to him, he was contracted to, I love this, build a weapon capable of taking out MiGs out of the sky while at the same time making it look like pilot error.
Well, that's so easy to do. How do you do that?
Well,
lasers.
Lasers. By the way, if anybody doesn't know, a MiG is a fighter jet.
Yeah, the Soviet MiGs. But,
Soviet MiGs.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Let me keep going with this. So,
what's interesting is the materials that he needed for his super weapon.
This is why I love this one.
They're pretty normal.
He said that he did make the weapon, but he was missing one vital piece, and that was plutonium-239. You know, the same stuff that Doc Brown needed to make the DeLorean travel through time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, what does the South African government do?
Well, they want that thing, right?
They want their plutonium so they can have their plane-killing laser. They contact their good friends, the North Koreans, who, of course, oblige them with this material.
Because they just have stockpiles of it.
They do. And what the North Koreans do is they smuggle it to Taiwan, and then it is smuggled on board SAA-295 in the air quotes here, guise of cargo.
Yeah, like computers and stuff.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be hard.
At the same time, well, you know, the South African government, they also need some other stuff. So they go ahead and decide to throw a little extra fuel for their missiles on at the same time in the form of,
bundle.
Ammonium percolate.
Yeah,
they go ahead and...
You save when you bundle things like that, right?
Yeah. Buy in bulk, baby. Buy in bulk.
Throw it all in.
Here's where mechanics... story goes is where I say goes pretty far out there, is he says, and this is completely according to him, is that somehow the United Nations and the International Monetary Fund, who of course wanted to take down the South African government, figured out what was going on and deciding that, well, this would be a great blow against their government and would stop them from getting this stuff, shoot the plane out of the sky. Yes,
Okay.
I'm leaving that
They
big
shot
gap.
it out of the sky. They didn't just like leave an incendiary on board with a timing device on it.
Somehow they took it out. I added shot it out of the sky there.
Well, this is number one, the UN. I mean, they're massively incompetent. So
they're
yeah.
diabolical.
Well, there's that.
Hugely diabolical.
Well, and the IMF, you don't necessarily, and you wonder why he included the IMF because you don't necessarily include the IMF with this kind of conspiracy. But if you look at his website,
he hates the IMF.
Well, after the IMF, in parentheses, he has the Rothschilds. In other words, it's the Jews once again. Yeah.
So
it's right.
he's an anti-Semite.
Don't take my word. Yeah, don't take my word for it. Check his website.
Okay.
Yeah, the IMF is controlled by the Rothschilds.
I looked at his website after reading some of this, and I really did it from afar, like reading the computer from the other side of the room, so I couldn't read it all kind of afar. It was just kind of that. I just kept it at that much of a distance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is not credible.
No, not very credible.
Well, the thing about it is too is if you're going to make rockets, and military grade rockets they are solid fueled, and some of them, not all of them, do use
ammonium percolate.
Yeah, some of them do use ammonium percolate as one part of the fuel. But the South Africans actually had plenty of that stuff available domestically.
They make it, and we're going to talk about that briefly here shortly. So, which you know what? Let's go ahead and move into the smuggled aboard section.
Yeah,
because this is where it's what got smuggled aboard, and we'll just keep talking about that because that's one of the things. Is the rocket propellant?
Yeah. So this is smuggled aboard in the cargo or smuggled aboard by a passenger.
Smuggled aboard in the cargo section.
Okay.
Is the way I understood this to be. Joe had talked about ammonia percolate is a rocket propellant. You might have heard of it before. It's the stuff that NASA really likes to use because it gives you your bang for your buck.
Yeah.
They used it a lot on rockets, and it is great for surface-to-air missiles.
Huh.
And surface to air, air to surface, and air to air.
Yeah.
They use them in all those things.
Yeah, it's a trifecta.
Yeah.
Really, it's great stuff. But the thing is, like Joe said, they can make it locally. Even today, I searched the web, and there are companies in South Africa who talk about the fact that they have this stuff readily available.
You are so on a list somewhere.
I'm totally on a list. So my question is, why in the hell would they bring it in from an outside source if they had it domestically?
That makes no sense whatsoever, especially on an airplane. I mean, something like that, you're going to get in quantity, and you're going to want to bring it in by ship. If you're bringing it in at all.
Yeah, you're not going to get pallets worth. No. Pallets worth doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not.
Even if it was an entire pallet of the stuff, it's still not a big enough quantity.
Even that entire cargo hold full of that stuff is like...
Yeah, it's dumb. It's a dumb way to ship it.
Maybe.
It's not worth it.
No.
Okay. So we're going to move on to what I think is probably my favorite thing that got smuggled on board into the cargo section of SAA 295, Red Mercury.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually thinking we should do an episode on Red Mercury one of these days.
We probably should.
Yeah, it's interesting that this Red Mercury is really a thing. It's
supposedly.
Well, it's not really. What I mean, it's really a thing, and that a lot of people believe in it.
Mm-hmm. Let me explain.
I believe it's
folks.
A planet.
Yeah.
Anybody who, not the planet, Devin.
Oh, what are we talking about then?
Okay, here's what we're talking about.
We didn't smuggle a planet onto a cargo. I thought it was little enough.
That's going to miss a few centuries off.
Okay.
Supposedly, Red Mercury is a super potent nuclear material that, by the way, has never quite materialized. It's. I'm just going to quote the internet on this. I'm just going to do it. It's a hoax substance of uncertain composition purportedly used in the creation of nuclear bombs, as well as a variety of unrelated weapon systems.
Yeah, so that's what we get from the aliens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, the definition of what it can do really varies a lot.
It's huge. From it is nuclear grade to it is just a great explosive. It is all over the map. And what I really love is that the times that people have said they had it, it has been determined that it was just reddish colored stuff.
Yeah, like dirt, food dye or something like that. Yeah.
It was red powder, It's from all accounts that I can get, it's not real. So, but it is something that you will hear. It was supposedly in the cargo hold of the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know because it's just a little too pat. I think it does exist. Okay, I'm just kidding. I mean,
coming soon, Joe's episode on Red Mercury.
Yeah. Well, no. Did you see the Star Trek reboot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which one?
The
first one?
Yeah, the first one where they did the whole reboot and everything, and Spock goes back and Spock goes to try to
his
save.
ship is powered by some red thing.
Yeah, that red stuff that he's going to drop into the sun to save the planet and everything, and it doesn't. Maybe it was that stuff.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Probably.
You watch too much TV, Joe.
That's a movie.
Okay. Let's keep going. The next thing that we have on the list of what was in the cargo hold and was smuggled on board is active carbon or charcoal. Now,
like activated charcoal?
Yeah.
Like activated or active?
Active.
I thought it was activated.
Maybe it
well,
is
activated charcoal, like you take as a supplement to like calm your stomach. So I am guessing not that.
Probably not that.
But it's a version of charcoal.
It's
extremely...
carbon. It's a very porous substance that when it catches fire very well. It's a really good accelerant, and it burns hot and fast. This stuff is important. It has a little bit of credence because if it was in PR and it is this 300, what the heck did I say? Oh, it's 300 grams of this stuff, by the way, is what they say was on there.
Who says that there were 300 grams of it?
Different places on the internet, mostly probably all stemming from one location that I did not track down the initial source of this theory.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is that something like this, I think, if you apply a flame to it, then it'll catch fire. Mm-hmm. Flame's got to come from somewhere, of course.
You're absolutely right.
And that's the thing about the whole thing about the low volume, or the high surface to volume ratio, is that does make for more flammability, which is why you're not allowed to smoke cigarettes in, like, say, grain silos.
Yeah.
Because there's so much dust in the air, you can actually cause an explosion.
Yeah, you catch the dust on